Hey everybody, thank you for watching. I'm sorry for the delay about this video. I know I kept saying I was going to get one out, and I never did because I'm so busy right now with readings. It's like every single morning I wake up and I have so many appointments and so many requests. But I did want to talk today about the subconscious mind because this is one of those things that I talk about a lot in a reading. Well, I don't talk about it a lot, but I explain to people why I'm saying certain things because I'm picking up primarily on the subconscious mind. You guys know I don't talk about spirit guides and all that stuff. For me, it just doesn't work that way. I do pick up on people that have passed over, and I will tell you certain things about them, certain things that are going on, and that. But I don't consider that the primary way of how I work. I'm dealing primarily with the subconscious mind. So if I bring up a name in a reading and the person's like, yeah, but it was, God, so many years ago when I knew this person. Again, like my last video, I don't believe time exists. But not only that, but I say because I'm picking up with the subconscious, on the subconscious, the collective of all of us. So a lot of times I'll say a name and that person will hear from that person, soon after or whatever, and then I'll get an email and they'll say, oh my God, you said this person's name. Of course, I usually forget what I said. And you had said that name and I just heard from that person. So weird. And it's because a lot of times subconsciously, sorry, my cat's in here. Subconsciously, I'm picking up on that person thinking about you, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean I'm a mind reader, but I get my information really, really quick. So I might say a name, a couple weeks later you hear from that person or you meet that person or whatever. It's just that we're all connected in some way. The reason why I feel that the subconscious is so important with with my work, with what I do, with spirituality, with metaphysics, is because it has everything to do with manifesting. It has everything to do with knowing what we should be doing with our lives and everything else. A lot of times we'll get physical symptoms of something. You guys know that if you just feel wrong about a person or a situation, you'll get stomach problems, right? So psychics, we are not immune to making bad decisions either. And for me personally, one thing I've noticed is if I'm not listening to my intuition, I get an ear infection every single time if I'm in a situation, because I don't read for myself like I do for you guys, but if I'm in a situation I shouldn't be or something, because my body is saying, my subconscious is saying to me, you're not listening, you're not listening, you're not listening, and inevitably, every single time I have to go to a doctor. Sometimes I have 2 ear infections, and then I know I'm not listening to my own internal subconscious that already knows what's up and what I need to be doing. I went to school originally for mass communications at the University of South Florida. This was 20 years ago. 20 years ago is a long time, is when I graduated, and I really don't remember hardly anything except for one teacher, and let me tell you, he was a good teacher. I focus, in mass comm, you can focus on journalism, you can do advertising. I focused on advertising. And the reason why this teacher was so good was because he basically, the whole entire class was about the subconscious mind and advertising. And he would tell us basically, like, show us, he was very metaphysical, right? So this went along with my life path, obviously, and I was so into this class. He was just an amazing teacher too. He would show us how advertisers kind of mess with our subconscious to make us be like, oh, that looks like a good product, all that kind of stuff, that's really interesting. So needless to say, I don't watch a lot of TV. Like, if I feel like if I watch TV, I just become increasingly more and more stupid. Like, I can feel myself getting dumber if I watch too much TV. Perfect example is one time I was watching one of those Lifetime movies, and you know how in Lifetime movies they're really dramatic, and like, this is years ago, but you know how like somebody always dies, somebody always falls in love, somebody always kills somebody, it's always like all this drama, right? So I go to bed that night and I'm like really angry when I'm going to bed. Really mad, and I'm like, why am I so mad? What am I so angry about? And I'm like, oh, it was the lady in the Lifetime movie. I'm like, but wait, that didn't happen to me. That happened to the lady. But I had subconsciously picked up on this, even though it was fake, this woman's emotions, and it affected my mental health. I was mad when I was going to bed. So I want to stress the importance of the media, especially right now, because everything you're seeing is not the truth. Use your own intuition, basically, instead of being blindly following whatever they tell you, is going on. because as somebody who does this for a living, I can tell you what you see is not really what's going on completely. And I'm just not going to get into that anymore. But anyhow, throughout my life, I've made a lot of subconscious, and you guys can probably relate to this. I'm sure. Please comment below if you have a story. I'd like to hear your stories. Things that have happened. I mean, I remember I didn't have a TV, you know, this is probably 12 years ago or something, for a while. And I remember this lady, this is when I was big time studying astrology and stuff. I was teaching summer school during the day, and I would come home, I'd go for a walk, and I was so into astrology. And I wasn't like learning it online. I was like getting books and actually researching and doing all the stuff. I would stay up all night doing it. But I didn't have a TV. And I remember this lady telling me, this is going to be the best time of your life without a TV. And it really was. I mean, it was such a good time. I was so free of all of these messages that I didn't want to hear. But so that went on for a while, and that's when I started my business. But subconsciously, my whole life, I've done things that I don't know why I'm doing, but they work to my benefit. An example is like I said, I used to be a teacher, and I kept paying. I used to rent back then, and the rent, this again was like 12 years ago, wasn't anywhere near as expensive as it is now in Florida. It's probably like $800 a month or $850 or something. And I kept giving my landlord like 2 months in advance, and they were like, why do you? So I would give him $1,600 every single time I would go, every single month. And they're like, why? And I said, I don't know, because I honestly did not know why I was doing it. Like, I wasn't like flipping cards and like dreaming and meditating on it or something. But that's what I was doing. Well, it turns out they lost the unit at the school. This is right around the time I started my business. So this was a big transformation, big change for me. But I didn't have a job for a while. And because I had paid my rent the way I did, they were like, well, you're paid up. And not only did they do that, but they were like, you're so good about paying your rent that we're going to lower your rent for the future. So subconsciously, I knew something was coming, right? And I am somebody that listens to my intuition, definitely. So now, otherwise I get an ear infection. But so I knew something was coming, and I was right, and it turned out to my benefit. So when you get that feeling, you guys, that something's not right, it is intuition, but it's also the subconscious mind. There's a book called In Tune with the Infinite by this guy named Ralph Waldo Trine that my mom told me about years ago when I worked at this metaphysical center, when I first was doing readings. And this was, I think, written in the 1800s, way before The Secret and all that stuff. Amazing book, In Tune with the Infinite. Remember that, so you guys can buy it if you want. And it was all about the subconscious mind. It was all about manifesting. And I'll tell you an interesting story, and I'm going to end on this because I got more stuff to do today. But during this time in my life, I had read this book. And me and this kid, when I would have breaks from doing readings, he worked at a restaurant, or I should kid, he was like 3 years younger than me. I was like 32, he was like 29. But we used to sit outside and drink a Coke, okay, and talk on our breaks. And every day, one of us would go get the other one a Coke. We would just do it. It was just our little ritual. We would go get ourselves a Coke. I had just read this book, and I was kind of learning how to bring things into my life at that point. I was really working on this. And I sit down, and this story sounds crazy. One of me and my friends were just talking about it the other day. She's like, this is the craziest story, but I swear to God, this is a true story. I sit down, and I'm like, I'm thirsty. And he's like, me too. And that's it. Neither one of us got up. I don't know why neither one of us got up that day. Like, neither one of us just did anything. We just kept sitting there and talking. Minutes later, this guy pulls up to the front of the restaurant, gets out of the car, smiles at me, goes inside the restaurant, brings a Coke out for me, a Coke out for him, gets in the car, and drives off. That was it. That was proof to me the power, of your subconscious mind, okay? The power of that belief. Do I believe in God? 100%. But I believe they talk about this in the Bible, about the power of your own mind and the power of your belief and your faith. So it's not witchcraft, it's not magic, it's about faith. That's what it is. So that just, and listen, you guys, I can get as negative as anybody else can. Believe me, I'm human too, you know what I mean? Especially because I have to be online a lot because I own a business. So I'm constantly emailing, I'm constantly doing this, I'm constantly doing that. But that whole TV thing, I don't do too much of it. And if I do, you know, like I'll get like a zombie, like watching something stupid. And it's really important for me to be a good communicator and everything else. And I'd rather read and do stuff like that because I'm trying to always get a little bit smarter and not stupider during my little stay here on planet Earth. So, really, really important to think positive, really, really important to write down our goals because those kind of bring them to fruition. Don't obsess over them. It's like a prayer. Let them go after you write them down and have faith that they will work out in some capacity. They're going to work out in some capacity, but there is no such thing as time. So don't expect it on your time. You know, like if you want it by, don't be like, I'm going to have this done in 6 months because it's not going to work that way. Time doesn't exist, like I talked about in my last video. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. Again, the book was called In Tune with the Infinite. The writer was Ralph Waldo Trine. You can probably buy it online. Really, really old book. It was during that time of the New Age movement. I think that was back in the 1800s or something. Very interesting people. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks again. Bye.